Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Joe Blorent's Chess Room. This is Joe Blorent. Today I'm going to showcase a game that I had on the 4th of May this year at the Redcliffe Chess Club. I'm playing black against Alan Fossey. Alan's a high 1600 rated player and he regularly punches above his weight. He's had really good wins against 1800 and even a win earlier this year against a 2000 rated player. So he's no slouch, and he usually uses me in the beatdown in blitz games. Our only long-rated game that we've played, he beat me really convincingly using the black pieces. So it was really good to bounce back and get a win here. Okay, so the game started with e4. He plays e4 and d5 equally. He plays e4 and d4 equally. I play d5. He takes knight f6, d4, bishop g4, knight f3, and queen takes on d5. So this is the classical line in the Portuguese variation. He's not getting greedy and playing c4 and trying to hang on to pawns that way. So instead he's just naturally developing, giving me the pawn back, and looking to just seek out an edge. Bishop e2, e6, developing my bishop, kingside castle, and knight c6. So my idea is really simple: queenside castle, and start shoving my kingside pawns down his throat. He continues with bishop e3, protecting the d4 pawn. Bishop f4 probably isn't too great because then I've got knight h5, and it's just going to cause that bishop to lose a tempo. Queenside castle, h3. I want to maintain my light square bishop, bishop h5, and c4. C4 might be a little bit overcommittal, and I thought he was going to wait before he played that by going knight a3, knight c4, or maybe pushing the pawn then. And I was a little bit concerned about him getting a really nice outpost for a knight. That's what I was thinking he would go ahead with. And I had a long think here, and I ended up playing king b8. Bishop e7, I think, is a mistake. Or maybe not a mistake, but I was worried about the kind of complications that would arise after knight e5. If I take that bishop, because it's hanging, then knight takes knight is an intermezzo move. I can't take the queen because he'll take that bishop there with check and win a minor piece. So I would have to either take back, or what I miss though, I think this is actually better if I played queen h5. Then he can take that bishop maybe with check, or play g4. But this is a complete mess. I really don't know who's better here at all, and I couldn't see this far, so that's why I ended up playing king b8 instead. So king b8, knight bd2, he's just completing his development, and now I thought he might continue with knight e5, but I saw after knight e5, I saw knight takes, and he should probably take back the bishop, because if he takes this knight now, I have queen takes, bishop, rook takes, bishop takes, and after pawn takes knight, pawn takes pawn, I'm up a pawn. And I've got double pawns, but I'm happy to play this position out. I've got the pawn, I've got the bishop pair. I would have been pretty happy with this position. But instead he played knight bd2, h6, rook e1, g5. Just continuing with my plan, pushing my kingside pawns, and at the moment they're coming a lot faster than his queenside pawns. Knight h2, he wants to swap off my bishop, so I do that. There's no real... I could have played bishop g6, but I thought I'd just swap off these bishops and get my kingside pawns further down the board. Queen takes e2, h5. The pawns are all protected by the knight on f6 and the queen on d5. g3, bishop e7, getting my final piece into the game. rook a d1, knight d7. So now I can move my f pawn, the knights, and I had ideas of trying to either play e5, getting my knight onto that square, or going knight b6 and then getting my knight onto d5 after I move my queen. I think my queen ideally wants to move to the f5 square, c4. I get it to f5 now. Knight b3. This pawn push doesn't work now after knight b6 because everything's that square's got too many defenders on top of it. He could play pawn onto. He could play pawn c5, shutting out my dark square bishop, but then my knight's just going to find a nice home again on d5. So instead he plays king g2, defending that pawn. Knight b4, and after pawn a3, my knight's now forking the rook and the bishop, so he's got to move that rook back. And when he goes rook f1, I thought I shouldn't take that bishop there on e3. If he takes back with the queen, I win a pawn with knight takes c4. So he has to take back with the pawn, and because of that, I can play queen e4 check. That's what happened. So king goes back to g1, and I played h4. So he could potentially take that pawn on f7, but I'm not too concerned, because if he takes that pawn, he's going after my bishop, but I'm going after one of the defenders on his king side. That bishop isn't really in the game, so if he takes a bishop, fine, but I'm going to have a pawn advancing on his position, my queen's near his king, that knight's going to be removed, so I wasn't too concerned about that. He targets my queen, so she jumps into c2, g4, and now I can play rook f8, so now I'm going to push this f pawn, b4, f4, and because those pawn pushes don't really concern me, because if he targets this knight, it can go to either c8, d7, or d5 if he lets me. Knight hf3, knight a4, so I'm just looking for a potential sneaky fork there. Rook c1, and here my clock was under 2 minutes, and I had to think really quickly what I was going to do with this queen. I didn't want to get her out. I thought there might be something better there, and I ended up playing knight c3 because I'm targeting his queen, and if he takes my queen, I take his with check, and the whole point is my knight can escape there on g3. So he didn't go for this, instead he retreated his queen, maintaining his threat. My queen jumps to b2, pawn takes, knight e5. So I immediately saw knight g6, but I think the bigger concern is knight d3. If he plays knight d3, this queen I think is going to be trapped. So here I get my queen out, queen takes a3, he plays knight g6, rook f7, rook f8 I think might have been able, I could have played this as well, but I instead go rook f7, pawn b5, bishop d6, so he's not going to take the bishop, so I might as well give it a better home. Queen g2, and now my bishop's got a lovely space there on g3. Knight into f3, knight e4, queen e2, and g4. So I'm crashing through, and I had to find these moves with very little time on my clock. That's a weakness I've always had. I haven't been the quickest player, so that's where a lot of my mistakes can really crop up. H takes, F takes, and knight takes on h4. And here I thought for 30 seconds, had about 28 seconds left on my clock, and I found the winning move. It's not actually rook takes rook, but it's actually a lot more difficult to find. The move is rook f2. So rook f2, it's deflecting that queen away from those squares. If rook takes rook, I'm going to have bishop takes. I'm going to have bishop takes rook followed by queen takes rook, winning the game. If he can't take with the queen, obviously, and if he takes on g4, it's actually force mate. And I was able to see all this with very little time on the clock, so it made me feel I was ecstatic. I was heart beating at a million beats a minute, but I was extremely happy because I had queen takes e3, and there's no defense after the discovered check upcoming. King here and rook h2 mate. He was really nice about everything. He allowed me to play mate out on the board, and to this day I'd still say this is my best game. Really happy with how that one turned out. I hope you guys enjoyed that one. Feel free to leave any comments down below, and I'll see you in the next video.